A former AEW champion has officially signed for WWE, but first, did WWE just tease the return of CM Punk? Since his AEW contract termination last month, we've awaited concrete news on the future of CM Punk, with many wondering if he could return to WWE or potentially even show up in another wrestling organization. Last night on Monday Night Raw, WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins would take to the ring to cut a promo on his upcoming FASTLANE challenger Shinsuke Nakamura, where he would seemingly drop a tease that the Second City Saint could be WWE bound. Rollins would claim that when he is at 100%, it makes him the best in the world, the trademark term used by the Chicago native. As we saw at WrestleMania 38, Seth was the one to welcome Cody Rhodes back to WWE when the American Nightmare accepted an open challenge, and it could be the case that Rollins acts as the gatekeeper once again for another returning AEW wrestler. We also saw an identical tease weeks prior to CM Punk's AEW debut when Darby Allin called for anybody that thinks they are the best in the world to come and prove it when he gets to Chicago for the first dance, with this eventually leading to an angle that set up a match between the two men. Whether this will be the case in WWE remains to be seen, but at the very least they knew the reaction the line would receive, and if the return is imminent, they're playing a similar strategy of subtle teases leading up to the big moment. Next up, we have a major update on an upcoming AEW deal. Pretty much since its inception, there's been talk of when All Elite Wrestling programming will appear on HBO Max, now known as Max, due to the promotion's close ties with Warner Discovery. Earlier this month, Andrew Zarian would take to the Mat Men podcast to claim that AEW will soon host 12 pay-per-views per year, all of which will air on the Max streaming service, noting that this is not a prediction. Well, last night, Zarian would give us another update whilst appearing on Wrestling Observer Live, revealing that the deal could be in place before the end of the year, and he would say, "I do have insight, they are going to Max. That is happening. That is happening in 2024 for sure. Maybe the December pay-per-view is on Max, and that's a real possibility." As we covered recently, Max is set to launch a brand new subscription tier titled the Bleacher Report Sports Add-on, which will air games from the NBA, MLB, NHL, and many more, with it likely that AEW would feature on the same service were a deal to be signed. And next, Cody Rhodes has hinted at a rematch with Roman Reigns. Elsewhere on last night's episode of Monday Night Raw, Cody Rhodes would address his recent decision to push for the return of Jey Uso to the Red brand, with him noting that somebody would be traded in the opposite direction to SmackDown. Whilst he didn't state explicitly that it would be him making the jump, he did say that "we're not in the third innings anymore, boys," a direct reference to comments made by Reigns and Paul Heyman following the Tribal Chief's win over the American Nightmare at WrestleMania 39. Cody appears to be suggesting that Roman Reigns' time as undisputed Universal Champion is coming to a close, with it clear that he has his eye on being the one to dethrone the dominant star and to finish the story. The tease follows recent talk that Roman Reigns versus The Rock could headline the upcoming WrestleMania event, although the latest comments from Rhodes throws a spanner in the works as to which direction WWE will take in the new year. Is he set to wrestle at an upcoming WWE Premium Live event? As we mentioned, The Rock has been tipped for a potential headline match at WrestleMania 40. This after he recently took to the Pat McAfee show to confirm that talks were held over a match with Roman at this year's Mania, before adding that next year's show is still a possibility. Following the recent news that WWE will be hosting Elimination Chamber 2024 live from Perth, Australia in Optus Stadium, the Western Australia have since reported that the promotion are looking to bring in the Great One for a match down under prior to another bout at Mania, and the report notes, "There is a strong suggestion Endeavor, which also owns the UFC, wants its first WrestleMania in charge to be an absolute showstopper. As a result, there is talk The Rock might well wrestle in Perth at the Elimination Chamber in February on his way to WrestleMania to face Reigns 2 months later." Grayson Waller, who is known for his recent interactions with returning legends such as John Cena, would warn The Rock to stay away from his home country of Australia, warning that if he does show up, he might not be able to make it to WrestleMania, and Waller would take to social media to say, Don't be silly and try to come to Australia, Dwayne. We want you to be healthy in April. But what direction do you think WWE will take on the road to WrestleMania? Will we see Roman Reigns take on The Rock or Cody Rhodes, or potentially both on 2 different nights? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And next, a huge match has been confirmed for WWE FASTLANE. Following a heated altercation on WWE SmackDown last Friday, a handicap match has now been confirmed for the WWE FASTLANE Premium Live event on October 7, with this being announced during Monday Night Raw last night. Initially, John Cena was expected to team up with AJ Styles to take on Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso of the Bloodline. However, Styles was laid out backstage before the contract signing later that night, before he was rushed to the hospital. Originally, LA Knight was slated to be part of the main event segment, this according to Fightful, although he too had to be sent away, this time legitimately, this due to a COVID diagnosis. Currently, it's uncertain if Cena will fight the match alone as advertised, or if LA Knight will recover in time to go ahead as planned, or if somebody else from the WWE roster will take his place, potentially AJ Styles. And next, a former world champion has confirmed their impending free agency. Earlier this week, Fightful Select would report that the contract of Impact Wrestling's Sami Callihan was set to expire at the end of September, with PW Insider also confirming this in a report of their own. Well, the man himself has since taken to X to confirm the news, posting a graphic with the date September 30, 2023, with the text "free agent" written underneath. It remains to be seen where Callihan will eventually land, although he has poured fuel on the rumor that he could be heading to All Elite Wrestling after he posted an old photo of he and Switchblade Conspiracy tag team partner Jon Moxley. The duo would be active from 2009 through 2011 when Moxley was signed to WWE, having also recently reunited twice in 2022 for Callahan's own promotion, Pro Wrestling Revolver. As covered last night, PW Insider reported that Sami has offers on the table from multiple promotions, in some cases as an on-screen talent and in others in a backstage capacity. And next, a world champion has signed a brand new contract with AEW. Last week on AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, Eddie Kingston would defeat longtime rival Claudio Castagnoli for the ROH World Championship, adding to the NJPW Strong Openweight title that was already around his waist. Speaking with ad-free shows this week, the Mad King would break the news that he's signed a new deal with All Elite Wrestling that will keep him with the promotion for 4 more years, and he would say, "If you notice, you haven't heard anything about me with a contract because I did my shit on the low. My thing was coming up, I got 4 more years. I'm straight. No one needs to know how much, no one needs to know how long. I got my fucking shit, I got my shit, and I'm going to be there for a minute because there is nowhere else I want to be." Eddie remains as one of the most over wrestlers on the AEW roster, with the latest news no doubt being music to the ears of the fan base. And speaking of world champions, a major WWE return has been confirmed. Undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns hasn't been seen since the August 11 episode of SmackDown, where he was taken out by Jey Uso days after their title match at SummerSlam. It would recently be confirmed that the Tribal Chief will be present at the October 27 taping of the Blue Brand in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, although it looks like he will be seen even sooner than this. According to a tweet from the BOK Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who hosts SmackDown on October 13, Roman Reigns is set to be in attendance that night, marking his first appearance since the aforementioned mid-August showing. The show will be the first SmackDown following the WWE FASTLANE event and occurs just over 4 weeks before Crown Jewel in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where the head of the table is expected to compete. And next up, a former AEW champion has officially signed for WWE. Earlier this month, the contract of Jade Cargill would come to an end following her loss in a TBS Championship rematch against Chris Statlander, with the news being broken by Fightful Select, who would also reveal that Cargill was likely heading to WWE. Well, the signing has now been made official, as earlier today, ESPN would reveal that Jade has put pen to paper on a deal with WWE, with them adding that she is set to start working speaking at the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida today, with WWE acknowledging the story on social media. With that said, there's still no confirmation on if the former TBS champion will debut on the main roster or if she'll go to NXT, although recent reports suggest that creative plans are in place for her to go straight to Raw or SmackDown. WWE Chief Content Officer Triple H has also publicly addressed the signing, with him taking to X to put the rising star over, and he would write, "A dominant athlete who's here to change the game. Join me in welcoming the newest WWE superstar Jade Cargill to the WWE Universe." Whilst the exact length of Cargill's WWE contract is still unclear, we do know that she's locked in for multiple years, with such a public welcome being a sign that there are big plans ahead when she finally appears on WWE television. And before you go, make sure you check out what's next for the WWE releases of September 2023.